Hello and welcome back to Take a Little Coffee Break. Today I actually had black tea because I was thinking about having coffee and for some reason I felt like my body was telling me don't do that because it's gonna affect you in a bad way. So I don't know why, but I just didn't feel like that was the time for coffee. But I did have a hint of sugar with a little bit of lactose-free milk. It was so good. I love me some black tea. Anyway, I'm so excited because today I got to interview the one and only Rebekah. She and her husband Juan were me and PK's wedding photographers. They took our engagement pictures and our wedding pictures, and they are incredible, so talented, the most genuine people. Love them so much, and they really did become our friends. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear. I really wanted to interview her about what it meant to have a small business, how she and her husband navigated that, and just their story. And it was really cool. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we didn't.
So excited to have you on. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
I really wanted to talk because I feel like if you guys have one of the coolest stories of like just deciding to do it, deciding to have a small business, and in a world where it can be pretty scary to just like, quit your job and like do it. So I really just wanted to kind of pick your brain and I don't know, just so like people can know. I feel like people know, like the people who follow you, they know like a little bit of who you are, and because you do your Friday introductions and things like that. But I'd love for them to just kind of see it a little bit deeper. And I'm just so excited. So I have my notes right here. I'm gonna ask you a question. For those who don't know who you are, just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us how you got to be like a small business owner full time. Just kind of like, the journey of how that happened.
Yeah. So my name is Rebekah and I'm 30 years old, 30 years old. And I live in Austin, Texas. So we're originally from Corpus Christi, my husband and I. And the way we got into this, so he actually did first. Both of us were going to school for, I graduated as an RN and he was going to school for aviation mechanic. And
oh, wow. That's very different photography.
Yeah, the complete opposite, right? And so as he went through, he was kind of like, this is really not what I want to do. Our friendship began at church, and then we started like skateboarding together. And so he super tomboy. So he thought it would be really cool. I had a little flip camera. I don't know if anybody remembers those flip cameras.
Yes,
but
a lot of YouTubers would use those.
Yeah, they're super old school, like early 2000s.
I had one too.
Yeah. So we had one of those. I had one of those, and then we would record, and then he's like, you know what, I'm going to get an actual camera. So he got a Canon Rebel, which is an entry level DSLR.
Yes. Those are awesome to start with, honestly.
They really are, and it worked out good. So he started with recording our skateboarding sessions.
Aww.
So funny. So that's how he got into photography. And then my cousin asked him, well, you have a camera, so can you shoot my wedding? And so I think he paid him like $400, and Juan was like, whoa, $200, he told me. He went like that on the side. So $200, and he was like, whoa, this is crazy. It's a lot of money for like a 19-year-old, right? And so he's like, he's like, I can do this. So that's how his photography journey got started. And I was there with it. I saw it at the beginning. But I was going to school to be a nurse, like I said, and I did graduate as a nurse in 2012. So, I did the whole traditional thing. I started working, and we got married, and he continued with the photography business, and I would help him on the side. A few years in, I got a nursing management job where I would have like a case of like 30 kids that I would manage and oversee all of their nurses. So it was an office job, 9 to 5. And the stress was real. On call is no fun. And I would work 40 hours a week, and then we'd shoot on the weekends. And then we also did the music at our church. So I
Oh my
literally
gosh.
had zero Sabbath. Like
And on
I
top
was,
of that, the editing. People don't
well,
understand how many hours.
exactly. Well, good thing he did the editing and everything. I
Okay.
would just show up and shoot. But like we were booking weddings that were like 10, 12 hours because we were just learning about weddings, and that really you can do everything in 8 hours. So they were very long. I had no rest, and we did that for several years. And I was like, I can't do this. So I dropped out. I didn't want anything to do with photography. I just let him do the business. But just to make a super long story short, I got burned out of nursing, and I realized this wasn't what I wanted to do. And I just wanted to take more control over my life and my free time. And so I knew that having a business would be the only way to do that. And since he was already like really established in his photography business, I kind of just like jumped on board. So in yes, October of 2018, I quit my job. We already had a trip planned to Hawaii. So we went to Hawaii. I started my portfolio there. I like called, I did a couples call. So I got like 4 couples that wanted free photos. And we just went around the island and took pictures. And that's what I started with. So yeah, that's how it all started.
What year was that?
2018.
So that was right when I booked you, like somewhere around like, that's incredible. And I remember seeing those Hawaii pictures and thinking they were incredible. And also, okay, so this is just seeing the timeline. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So yeah, for those people who don't know, Rebekah's my photographer. I'm pretty sure I said that earlier. But my next question is, because, okay, you were a nurse, right? And you were doing that. And I feel like, I feel like you and I are very similar. And I feel like for me, I'm a kind of like a jack of all trades, but master of none. Like I pick things up, but I don't master any of them. I'm just like, yeah, I could do this like for 5 minutes, and then I just kind of move on, or I'll do it on the side or whatever. So I don't know if that's how you are, but yeah.
I am. Absolutely.
And we're both 9, so it's kind of like we're just chilling. But so my question for you is then, with that being said, because even as an Enneagram 9, I feel like committing to one thing and taking a risk, that's a big deal. But so when did you realize that photography was a passion for you, that it wasn't just, oh yeah, I do it on the side with my husband, but I'm also a nurse, and we work at church? When did you realize, no, this is something that I truly love, and I want to make this my career? Because that's like a big step to take whenever you're like not that much of a risk taker.
Yeah. And that's a really good question. And actually it's kind of funny because Juan asked me that same question. We were on a walk maybe last month or something, and it took me a very long time to find my answer. So I just to kind of backtrack, I'm not a big risk taker initially, and I'll kind of go into that a little later. But so it's really bizarre for someone like me, a 9, like you said, to like just jump and leave everything that's comfortable that you know. So I just that, I guess that speaks to how what kind of place I was whenever I did quit. I was really burnt out. Like I was just burning on both ends, and I had nothing else to give. I was literally having I was having mental breakdowns at work. I would call Juan and I would leave on my lunch break, and I would just walk around the building and cry and be like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. So I was at a really, really terrible place. And I was like, I would rather take a risk than stay here and just be doing the same thing over and over and be miserable. So just to show how much I really didn't like it. But to answer your question about when did I know that how I knew I fell in love with photography, the honest answer is I think I would have fallen in love with anything that gave me these things, like the room to be creative, a way that I could connect with people in an intimate way in a small setting, because I am an introvert, and also that gave me like it was a foundation, something that didn't change. So like in nursing, there's so many variables. You have a sick person that comes in, say they have diabetes, but they also have heart disease. They also have a neurological disorder. And so there's certain medicines that you can give, but they interact with one another. So there's, and each person that comes in with the same disease, it's so different. And so you're constantly having to play this guessing game and on your toes. And that's, for me, and I know for like our personality types, that's incredibly exhausting. And with photography, there's a constant, like you have your ISO, your aperture, and your shutter speed, and it all makes sense. No matter what situation it is you're in, like there's just some things that aren't going to change. And I like that. So I have that consistent foundation. And when I have that, I can build on it. And all that needs to grow is my creativity and my skill set in using those things. And then also, like I said, I really like connecting with people in an intimate level. And when I'm, doing engagement shoots, I get to know them and get to talk to them. And then it's really cool being able to take a little piece of them, which is their authenticity and their chemistry together, and then my professional craft, and make art, something that's like a creation of these two things that they get to keep forever and share and pass down for generations. And photography did that. It had all those qualifications, and it's really fulfilling for me. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that, like the difference between the two careers. It makes me feel better because I actually majored in nursing at first, and it didn't work out. And for the longest time, I was like, I failed. But now hearing you talk, because we're so similar, I'm like, I would have died. Like I would not have been able to take it. I don't know if my personality could handle it at all. So that's so interesting to hear you talk about it that way. And it's so true. And I really love what you said about authenticity and like hearing, seeing people in their real, just like in a real way. And I think that engagement shoots and weddings, that's just what it is. You see a side of a person. It's almost like you really do become very personal with a stranger very quickly.
Very quickly. And something I like to say, or that I kind of just like adopted this phrase very recently, is I like to be the catalyst for real emotion. So you put a camera in front of people's faces, and even me as a photographer, I'm like, oh, what do I do with my hands? Yeah. And so and I'm not working with models, I'm working with everyday people, just like you and me. And so it's nerve-wracking. So for me, it's really fun, the challenge of like, I just met you, we're getting to know each other, but I'm going to get pictures that that show your authenticity and your true character. And that's really fun for me. I feel like that's like, it's the challenge, but it's also the fun part. It's like a fun challenge. And so finding ways to bring that out of people. And I think that, something, if I can kind of toot my own horn, if I can do that, I think I'm good at like pulling that out of people. I don't know how or when, but I feel like I've always been, people in high school have told me like, I don't know why I'm like pouring my life out to you. I just feel like I can do that. And so I've just kind of tapped into that and like, well, let me find what people like and what they need. And it's very easy. It's fun because it works.
Yeah, no, I totally, as a previous client, I can totally attest to that. And I remember when I was searching for photographers, and we've talked about this, but another one of there's so many things that drew me to you. Number one, you were in my budget. But number two, I whenever I would see your pictures, I felt like I could tell through the camera. Well, first, I was familiar with photography, and I knew that I wanted a lifestyle type of photographer, which you were. But what I really loved about your pictures was that I could tell just from looking at your pictures that the people who you were photographing were comfortable with you, comfortable enough, because the smiles didn't look fake. It was all very real. And so, yeah, I mean, it takes some skill to bring that out, especially when people are not, a lot of guys, especially, like I've shot engagement shoots before and things like that. A lot of guys have a lot of trouble just kind of like, they're stiff and they're just kind of like, I don't know. But once you get them kind of like comfortable and talking, and hey, this is just hanging out. And I know that for PK it was that way too, because he was nervous about the pictures, but I felt like as soon
I
as he
remember.
met you and as soon as he met you and Jose, it was like Juan. Oh my God, sorry, Juan, not Jose.
That's his middle name. It's okay. It's his middle name.
Oh, okay, yes, that's probably why I thought in my head Jose. We also have a friend Jose who hangs out all the time, so I probably was thinking about him in my head. But as soon as he met you and Juan, it was just very like, I could tell that he was just very relaxed. So definitely, yeah, I totally agree with you. I think you're very good at that. Toot your own horn, girl. One of thing that I do, so we've established like, this is your passion. This is like, you know, what you love to do. And with any business comes a challenge too. It comes, you know, and when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's worth it. You know, you're like, okay, these are my challenges, but I really love what I do, so I'm just gonna deal with it. Like for us in ministry, we love what we do. Our challenge is that we have to ask people for money and like support raise for a monthly budget, but we do it because we love it. And anyway, but so what has been a challenge in your small business for you that maybe you didn't expect, or you didn't prepare for, or something that you were just like, wow, okay, this is like a real challenge?
That's a very easy answer. So I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is that it really tested our faith a whole lot. So like we're a couple of faith. We you know, believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord Savior, and we go to church, and that God has a plan for us. And so I think that that has been the biggest thing. Like you never, I've Juan said it before, like it's kind of like farming. Like you plant the seed and you just pray for the rain, and when the rain comes, you pray that the locusts don't come and wipe out your crop, or in this case, COVID.
Yeah.
And even if it does, just having the faith to know that like you're going to be okay, and that you know you still have to do your part, and you're wearing multiple hats, you know, like we're just barely getting to the point where we're able to like kind of branch out and delegate some things, but for the most part we're our own marketers, we're our own content creators. We run our social media accounts, multiple social media accounts, you know, of course, shooting and editing, photo and video, networking. So all of that falls on us, and that is a lot of work. But the good thing about it is that it's work that we love doing. Arguably, I had less hats that I was wearing as a nurse, but it was so laborious because I didn't like what I was doing.
Yeah.
But here I am, arguably working more than 40 hours a week, maybe 70, 80 on the most busiest days. And I love it. I'm fine, tired, but you know, but I think it's that, I think it's just, yeah, just trusting that we're going to, that God's going to provide our needs for us, and also just wearing so many hats.
Has this season been like pretty tough in regards to like trying to manage, and this is a side that people don't really hear a lot, the business side of it and the money side of it, like,
Yeah.
and the planning that you have to do? Has this been like tough for you guys, or have you guys kind of like been able to manage and plan accordingly? How has that been? I know that wasn't in the list of questions that
No, I totally have an answer for that, though. It's been interesting. I'll start with that. So yeah, we've had, okay, when I compare it, it's not been ideal. Let me start with that. It's definitely not been ideal. But when I compare it to some of the other photographers that we're seeing, a lot of them are completely losing business. Like people are canceling their weddings entirely, and asking for refunds. And that's the hard part about it. But for us, we feel like we have such a good group of clients because not a single one of them has asked for their money back or is canceled entirely.
wow.
Or the few that have canceled their wedding entirely, because we did have one out of the country wedding, they hadn't made their deposit, their retainer yet. And so that actually really worked out. But everybody has been postponed. All the dates that they've selected are available on our calendar. Like I can't make this up. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like God's really been good to us in this season.
Wow.
So
That's incredible.
yeah, standing back and looking at it, there's nothing that I can complain about at all, because it's been really hard. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that we worked with that aren't photographers, that they've had to close their doors, and they've only been open for maybe 1 to 5 years or something. And so it's been really scary. We didn't know what to expect, but we've been taken care of for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that's awesome. So turning into a little bit of a more positive spin, what do you think is the most enjoyable thing about your job? What is something that you really, really love that you're like, man, this was what makes it worth it?
Everything that I said was difficult is also positive.
Okay, great.
But just to kind of change it up a little bit, I really like working with people in that intimate way and getting to know people. And like I said, I feel like I'm working my strength whenever I'm getting to like, I love when people come to me and they're like, I'm super not photogenic. I don't know what to do. We're really awkward. And then I show them the camera or I show them their images and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that that was possible.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's worth more than like any amount of money. Of course, like that goes without saying, like I can't buy groceries with like compliments, but,
Oh,
as far as like the value of like, what I'm getting in return, that means so much. Or when people say like, I can't wait to tell my friends, like I'm just going to tell everybody about you, it's like those things mean so much to me. They carry so much weight. So I think that that's my favorite.
so for anyone that's thinking about starting their own business, or but they're too scared to quit their job, but they're really passionate about like a talent that they have or something that they enjoy doing, what would be one piece of advice that you would give that person that may be watching this are like, I want to do it but I don't want to do it? What would you say to them?
One piece of advice, just what?
Well, whatever you feel like saying.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Like, so man, and this is coming from somebody who's uh just for those of you who are watching and understand Enneagram, like I am a 9, but I'm also a very strong wing 1. So I like to know what to expect as well. And this is coming from somebody who has a heavy wing 1. I think that you have to take some risk and you have to take some thought out of it. Like you want to think about it, right? You want to be sure that you have all your ducks in a row. And just to give like a real life example, before I quit nursing, my very comfortable, financially secure career, we saved up 6 months worth of income because we knew realistically, I'm probably not going to be making a lot of money the first, like, who knows how long, let's say 6 months to a year. And I told Juan, if we can't do this in 6 months, then I'll go back to nursing.
Wow.
So that was a timeline that felt good to us, that seemed reasonable. And so, yeah, I did have to pick up shifts here and there. So I don't think that it would be wise to like burn all your bridges, right? You might want to, those of you who feel like they want to do it in a more safe way, I think it's cool to step down and just do something where you can do like part-time. But when it comes to that point where your income for your side hustle is starting to creep up and is maybe being limited because of your main hustle, I think that's when that risk needs to be taken and you just need to jump and just do it.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, when you put yourself, and it all depends on person to person, but for me, when I put myself in a position where my back is against the wall and I'm having to fight because there's nothing behind me, I do have nursing, but I don't want to go back to that. So I say that there's nothing behind me. Like I want to just leave that behind in my past. Like you fight harder and you fight with a lot more intention because there's something to fight for. And so I think that I say, think about it and then stop thinking about it and then just do it. Like there's no, like, it's just like they say with getting married and having kids, there's no perfect time. There is some things that you can't control that you have to be smart about, like, but also at the same time, when you kind of just know when it's right. And so,
yeah, That's
I think
awesome. I think that that's so good. And I know that for us, even doing ministry full time was a risk, but it was something that we truly felt like we needed to do. I do want to ask one more question. I think I want to start asking everybody who I interview this. It's so unrelated, but since the show is called Take a Little Coffee Break, what is your like go-to coffee order? And if you don't drink coffee, just like what's your favorite beverage or tea or whatever?
Yeah. So I'm not a huge coffee drinker. As a matter of fact, I had a cup yesterday and I'm like struggling today because I have digestive issues. And so I
Okay.
get like refluxy and all this stuff. But
Oh yes.
my go-to tea order is a London Fog with no sweetener and whole milk. So yeah,
I
it's
love a London Fog, except I don't like Earl Grey tea, so I switch it out with a black.
no way. I
Yeah.
love Earl Grey tea. I love the little flavor that it has. It's kind of like I don't want to say grassy, but it's a very earthy flavor. And I
It,
can get whites.
I feel like I don't mind earthy, but to me, it tastes like perfume. That's
Oh,
literally what I get in my yes. It's so sad. I wish I could do it, but I do love a London Fog, and but I add I switch it out with an English breakfast or something. But yeah, but that's awesome. Yeah. What else do you put in it? You said it's a sweetener.
No, I ask for no sweetener whenever I'm at like if I'm ordering from like a Starbucks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I make it at home, I'll put a little stevia in it.
Yeah, that's
Just 'cause-
awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. This was so fun because I haven't seen you in forever. And so it was good to just talk to you and see how you're doing. And yeah, I miss you. And I hope we get to hang out soon.
I know, I know. I'm sure I believe it'll happen.
Well, thanks. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Bye.